must make video. Can't decide if Colossus or zombie.
Hi, I'm KB. Hi, I'm KB, and not so long ago we talked about Wanda in the top 10 most mysterious characters video games. So now there is one other aspect of the groundbreaking and time-testing video game known as Shadow of the Colossus that we must dig deeper into. It's no doubt that Shadow of the Colossus defined that whole wonder of a ghost town land shrouded in emotion without speaking any words at all, besides from a darkish god giving you directions with a standard doodly font to back himself up. But what's to compare are the 16 Colossi, each unique in their own way. Some similar in appearance when discussing the bipedal ones, but these groundbreaking creations can range from 18 feet to 557 feet in length, along with 11 feet to 197 feet in height. So when the game was first introduced, people wondered how it would be possible to take down giants of this size. With a slingshot, of course. Okay, well, each Colossus has at least one sigil placed upon them, which could only be viewed, guided to, and struck with an enchanted sword simply called the Ancient Sword, which was used to seal away the mysterious being, Dormin, who could only be whole once more with the cursed entity that the Colossi possessed. Originally, there were 24 Colossi thought up, but 8 were scrapped for either various reasons or unknown reasons. But maybe we'll talk about those 8 Colossi in another video. For now, we'll focus on what made the game. Each of the 16 Colossi with their different methods of slaughter, to which it would be a bit bad to leave at least one out because I have something to say about all of them. So, let's begin counting down my top 16 Colossi battles from Shadow of the Colossus.
Einar Bintheg.
Alright, where do we go with this, besides from the bottom of the list? And I understand there's mixed opinions on which Colossus is better than the other. Actually, no, you need to understand that. Great name, one hell of a landscape, because I do like using aggro, a tortoise with death rays as a specialty, but hell is the keyword in an innovation attempt for a boss, so let's go with that. And to describe that, I'll mention the layout of events which target this boss. First, you've got to lead the Colossus under geysers, which sounds cool, but they go off at different times and also have a short time limit spouting between keeping the Colossus unbalanced and preparing for the next phase. So yes, these geysers emit strong amounts of water so that it revokes the balance of Basaran, or Basaran, and consider the different geysers laying dormant for some time, and then throw in the fact that this Colossus shoots out strong electric pulses from far away that are almost impossible to dodge at times. If you get hit, there's a strong chance you'll get knocked off your horse, and there'll be less time to dodge while you are trying to remount, while also yelling at the screen, "Fucking hell, stop standing there, being a dick with your lasers, and walk to the geysers!" Once successful with the geysers, you shoot its feet like with the second Colossus, causing it to fall on its side, saving you little time to run around it to climb on top of it. Well, if you use aggro, there'll be less problem, if you can find aggro in time. By the time you actually get up there, you're on his rocky back, meaning you have to control your balance a lot more to avoid falling off and repeating the whole process again. You then have to stab its head, to which to get to, you have to run across its rocky back while it shakes. Okay, I kinda like this part. Kinda. Okay, don't think I'm hating it because it's hard. I didn't actually die when facing him. It's a very time-consuming boss because everything is so precise. There'll be times when the geysers don't even affect him. Like, come on, I'm sure Blastoise can give you a helping cannon. There'll be times when you can't even climb on him in time. It's like the person who designed this Colossus fight is so OCD about everything, but not to the point like remembering a sequence, but to how specific you must be with every quote-unquote physic that occurs. So I can dislike some of these, maybe, but like I said at the start, there's many good qualities to this boss too, which are just overshadowed by all the inconsistencies.
Pimtheg.
Basically, for Celosia, he doesn't really have any weakness. But show a monster made of rock, some fire on a stick, and you'll get the impression that gasoline has been invented during this age of cursed lands to somehow burn his rocky armor. Hear that, folks? A rock monster is afraid of a little fire. See, Pokemon got it wrong. Damn all these references. Anyway, since the idea of him nudging you with his head is pretty annoying, there must be some way to reveal something. Maybe headbutting something which will cause his armor to fall off. Maybe that weird platform over there will do the trick. Nope, it didn't. But it did reveal a stick, which is hard enough to grab in time before he butts in on your little procedure. Light it on fire by hitting the metal as fast as possible. Oh, weren't we talking about precision and physics not so long ago? What happened? Well, anyway, he'll cower from it if you shine it to him. Not too close though, because he'll bitch slap you otherwise. He'll fall and reveal his good stuff for you to Tyrannimo off the cliff and land on his back to stab him like you would a bucking bronco. At least that's how I play it. Now you're wondering why I have this very low on the list, and my answer for that is the lack of availability to get up. If he hits you, watch as he constantly trolls you to try to get back to your feet. Almost. So although I do like the whole rodeo concept, the process if you fall off is just a bit frustrating. And people say you need to tap buttons constantly to try and get up faster. Maybe that won't stop you when you're in the middle and trying to pick the stick up.
Pedar Ardeg.
Now I see a lot of people like Hydrus, but for me it's like Hydrus plays hard to get. The time it takes for it to rise to the occasion so that you can grab onto it and start stabbing the electric-induced areas on the body. By this you understand that I'm a very impatient guy, but I swear, that's not how it works with me. With other Colossi, there's things happening in between, like certain phases or standoffs. With this, it's the same kind of thing, waiting for about 3 times. It's probably one of the most satisfying wins I've had on the game because of that little ounce of suspense I had. And even though it's this slow, there's something about the serpent-like Colossi that you just share some sort of awe for. Maybe because the special edition cover had Phalanx on the cover.
Don't spoil it!
That's your photography work.
No, it's Japan's, okay?
Yeah, whatever you say.
Tyr Ardeg.
Now, don't think I hate this guy or anything, it's actually quite the opposite. I haven't seen too many great first boss battles, but for the first boss battle to be the best one will be kind of a letdown for the rest of the game. Then again, try explaining that to Poseidon or the Hydra. And without making things too hard, it's quite simplified. Weird saying all that in one sentence. But it's true. No, you have to literally touch the sky to beat it, but just stabbing it in the back of the leg so that it falls on one knee. To which you climb onto the platforms on his back, and on your way up to his head, and win. Sure, this Colossus kinda lets you win, but not as much as a Colossus we haven't talked about yet. But let's not spoil it.
Oh yes, my picture ruined it.
Yes. Yes, it did. But overall, no letdowns, no annoyances, no me overrating it. A pretty standard kickoff. And anything beyond this entry is a likable one for me. Beholding the sequel to Valis and one of the largest colossi in the game with its height and length, Quadratus or Quadratus or Quadrilateral, there will be hardly any bashing throughout this phase of the colossi induction. So to describe what this giant ball that acts more like a cow does, there are times when it will try to stomp you, and when it does this, you'll notice that under its feet resides glows of green. Shoot to kill. The great thing about this fight is that everything flows in very well. Quadratus will kneel to rid its pain, to which you need to climb up its leg and onto its back and stab its weak points, which are on its head and on its arse. There are more for hard mode, but we're just discussing what we first played. The whole time you're wondering if aggro has been stepped on, to which you wonder, shit, how am I gonna get home? For this boss, I think they were pointing out the different mechanics and artwork they want you to embrace so early in the game, like, stab me like one of your French girls. Hope I said that right. Another solid entry.
Yay, you're still alive, aggro!
Unardeg.
And now entering the most bizarre Colossus on this whole list, Pelagia, or Pelagia, or Pelagia. Nobody pronounces these names properly. I've seen a lot of people dislike this boss, and part of me can see why. It's not the easiest one to figure out, and it's a boss you can get left stuck with, along with the lightning, but we'll get to that later. But for me, once the ball gets rolling, it doesn't stop too soon. So basically when you swim across it to climb up its back and onto its head, or you can use the method of jumping straight onto its head, you'll notice there's no weak mark to impale. But what you do find is some dentistry that is so bad that the teeth grew back in and out the other way, to which I never thought could happen. But they're glowing, so that's a good sign. For us, as we hit whatever glows. Don't touch those light bulbs, kids. Anyway, remember that platform that you can get on before? Use this big fella to your advantage, and also reminisce those past Colossi battles where they try to find you if they can't see you. Same mentality applies here. He'll ascend to get you, revealing his little pot-bellied mark, then stab the shit out of it. A bit of a repetitive fight with lightning strikes, a bit harder to dodge, but this is also where innovation can work for the most of it.
Dag.
Barber is essentially the rants your granddad makes about the war, chasing you through walls to make you hear as much as he can't. So after this destructive chase sequence is done, you realize it's time to hide as you can't really find a way to climb on top of him. But like an idiot, he reveals his great big bushy beard. So as you hide because there's no way out, you finally latched onto him. And the reason I like this boss quite a lot is due to the different kind of running events that go on, as well as that leap of faith onto his mane per se. And if you fall off by any chance, it doesn't actually take that much time to get back onto him, while he is also categorized as the Shaker Maker, which can also be quite annoying.
No!
That dude with a massive surfboard for an arm and balls for feet to make you wonder how he walks and stays standing, the knight himself, Gaius, with a giant round battlefield to boot. You notice straight away that Gaius' main method of attack is that giant plank smash of his, and why there's a solid round platform randomly placed on the field. And then you put 2 and 2 together and Bob's your uncle. When he hits the platform, the shock from the blow will unanchor the armor up on his arm, revealing his fur, and then you have to lure him by hitting softer ground. Then running up his arm, stabbing his head, and descending to his abdomen to deal the final blow. Now back when I faced him for the first time, I kept falling off when I was near his head, and I had no idea why. But I realized it was due to me climbing too much and wearing out my fatigue. That's something to watch out for. This boss will heavily tire you out. But it has that standoff feel described before, to which the placing on top of the circular tower is a great place for an encounter such as this.
Oitha.
Probably one of the most deadly and peculiar fights in the game goes to the creepily crawling lizard, Kuromori. The Colosseum-styled layout makes for a lot of ways to try and evade the third smallest boss in the game, and this is a boss that took me about 2 tries to finally beat him because I was unaware of his massive stun voids, which is probably the minor annoyance of the entire battle, and I keep realizing that I refer to these things as genders. Probably do. I think so anyway. But drawing the beast closer to you as it climbs up the walls and shooting it down to the depths below, while skydiving down to it, is that epic kind of cat and mouse game you look for in a fight like this. But it's not a spider. Lizards can climb walls too, you know. Comment cease and desist. Now.
Scythe.
I remember that Chuck Norris fact that mentions him inventing the giraffe by uppercutting a horse. Well, Shadow of the Colossus invented a giant giraffe called Phaedra by body jabbing a mouse. This is the first boss you see that you have to lure him by looking for you because there's no other way to climb onto him, which is a bit tricky to start off with, but if you're patient like me, you'll notice him starting to search for your presence while his tail lowers for you to climb onto, and stab his neck for him to lower it like Dory from Super Mario 64. Except that this game is good and doesn't teach kids how to use blades to stab. We can look back on how this is what patience should feel like you're biding your time, waiting for the opponent to slip up, without a banana peel, which would be funny to do in the Colossi. Make him step on one instead of you.
Kuech.
probably the second hardest boss to figure out, to which I mainly discovered how to climb on it by luck. Argus isn't really the stupidest of all the Colossi, except if something is on your hand, usually the best thing to do is to clench your fist.
The blood is icky.
Do you want to live or not? Basically, the idea of this boss is to make him step on a platform which raises it, allowing you to climb up higher and directing him towards the bridge in order for him to destroy it. Then you jump on him, stab a sigil on the back of his neck and one on his palm. He's quite a tricky boss to get around and will leave you having to climb to reach him, if unsuccessful in fully bringing him down to a shameful massacre. Funny thing I suspect is that one of the other Colossi must have pushed him off the cliff, which made him mad, and now he has you to take it out on. But seriously though, do you have arthritis or something? I mean, if you can hold a club in one hand, why can't you hold a soon-to-be pound of flesh boy?
Pimp.
And here we have it, the Delta Phoenix himself, even though this is the 5th Colossus and Delta is the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet, Avion. Despite the endless doggy paddling to shore if you fall off of it, the incredible velocity you're faced with should tail you in an incredible spectacle of awe, running towards the wings and tail while withstanding twists and turns, and wondering why a heavy bird has helium stuffed inside it. Luckily, because you hardly fall off it, it doesn't get any better than this. You simply gotta piss him off by drawing him in with your arrows while leaping onto him in an ordinary fashion. A great chill from start to finish by the lake. See, I love this game because it's just like a roller coaster. The height, the adrenaline, the velocity, and this is the epitome of it.
Petwa.
Usually this is one of the most disliked Colossi in the game because of its easiness and immobility. Personally for me, it's something I'd least expect and not really that disappointing for me. I can go on about the symbolism and emotions surrounding this boss, how aggro's quote-unquote gone, and you start wondering to yourself what these works of art did to deserve your stab infliction. But for the fight itself, I still like it. This giant statue acts like your judge firing down those judgment bolts while you evade his conviction, and then its immense climb to the top of the tower. It took me a while to figure out that you have to shoot the shoulder to get to his head because there was no mark. I was 12 when I played this, and I was a stupid kind of 12, which is the common kind of 12. And this is pretty much the only Colossus who responds to pain like a human does, which I found pretty unique compared to the other bosses. I didn't find it as easy per se as how other people found it, but it was quite easy in its own way, as well as fairly oblivious to what's on its arm. It's a flea dude, kill it! Nope, it has no ears. Oh well, guess he's gonna die.
Three.
Everybody loves Phalanx. The longest and possibly largest. Scratch that, it is the largest Colossus in the game. As well as the most peaceful. And the most plague-infected. Ew. Well, something's got to be done about that. It is true what they say. Pretty much everything about this fight is amazingly crafted. The landscape, the sequences that involve aggro, arrows to bring it to the ground, like putting down an animal being hunted. No obvious weak spots here. Then use aggro to ride alongside the Gargantuan to jump onto its wing, and run across it to stab each sigil you come across until the peace-loving, long-nosed bastard has drawn a line in the sand. Boo, that was awful. No, it wasn't. Okay, whatever you say. As detailed as this battle is, it just doesn't have as much of a dual aspect that comes with it. To make it more symbolic, I hope. I mean, it's like DIY deconstruction. But in all, a light in a cloudy desert is all I can ask for, really. As well as the anticipation for what made the cover of the special edition.
Die!
Finally, we get a Colossus that loves horse meat. Why do I feel excited about that? Dirge for me was the hardest Colossus in the game, and rightfully so. When no weak spots are revealed and you never struck the eye before, trying to survive a terrifying clamp attack is near impossible. The idea of this fight is to have Dirge chase you with his beautiful round eyes revealed, leaving enough distance from you and the wall so that you can oddly aim with your bow while riding on aggro and blind the beast so that in a rage rams itself into the wall. You know, can it just stop? I like this fight a hell of a lot because it feels like a fight for survival. You just stepped into the cave of the devil and you might not get out alive if Dirge has something to say about it. Dirge pisses you off, you piss him off. It's all fair game. And now we go to the honorable mentions. Dormin. I am Dormin! Moving on. Alright, say what you want. That this isn't a Colossus, that it's not that big, but this goes to show how people blindly and foolishly judge a book by its cover. You rapscallion poppycocks. Just because I'm 5'8" doesn't mean I can't beat the Undertaker in an arm wrestle. Try me. While you are gazing at the wonderfully deserted city around you, towards you comes a heavily armored vehicle ready to hit you harder than a 4x4. Then a voice in your head says, "Make it hit stuff." This encourages you to look around more, so while you're in the trenches hiding from the tiger, there needs to be something it can actually hit. Oh look, higher ground. Okay, if this platform won't fall, maybe that really tall beacon in the sky will help. And it did! With me in one piece! Well, time to repeat this process for a little while. So the last pillar reveals an area with a platform to climb up and lead the lion into a collapsible support thing, which then triggered, the whole platform will fall onto him and break his armor off, revealing his sigil, to which you then need to jump onto him and attack the sigil. If at any time you get thrown off, lure him into another collapsible pillar to make him immobile. And then bye-bye, kitty cat. Or at least the armor of the kitty cat. The reason why I like this Colossus so much is that, first, even though this is the smallest Colossus in the game, yep, it's slightly smaller than Celosia, it's faster and more aggressive and is ready to pounce on you if you're not careful. The whole ring area is like a domino, constantly devising a plan to make the reckless oaf slip up. And then once he's weakened, the area is like a tiger's cage, where you have to think quickly if you don't want to get slaughtered. The hardest way to be free of this Colossus is to withstand its shaking, but it's like when you have to sedate him, making him a tough nut to crack compared to a lot of the others where you don't have to do just that. Overall, I just have to give this little guy some credit. Okay, a lot of credit, seeing as this guy's number 1. It's a brilliant setup for a tiger set loose in the city, and the music backs it up brilliantly, signifying danger and advantage. And just that stare he gives at the beginning where he's just there, waiting for you, waiting for meat to enter his domain. And plus, I had low expectations coming into this fight because I already faced Celosia, so you can understand my frustration. So thank you again for watching. This was a very different video for me to make, mainly because it was me talking about more artistic values of a video game rather than kind of making more light out of it, even though that was one of the aims of the video as well, but not the core aim, even though that's not usually the aim. Anyway, it's just like enthusiasm is the aim. Saying that, if you like the video, then follow my Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter and my other YouTube channels. Until next time, lights out!
And this is it. The moment of truth will be unraveled in this one last part.
Well, not a part of the entire Let's Play, I'm just saying.